Hello everyone, I'm Athena Raven.
And I am Joseph Ally.
And welcome to my channel. It's lovely to have you here. We're going to be discussing, well, some of your most popular questions regarding how we manifested each other, if we manifest together. There's going to be various things, a bit of a Q&A. We'll probably do a few of these videos going forward because we've been inundated with some incredible questions from everybody. We've gotten to answer a fair few of them, I would say, in some of the videos that we've already created and our live sessions as well. We've gotten to discuss a few, but I know there's a lot of queries about this when you're manifesting love, when you're manifesting a specific person, and when you're in the aftermath of that as well. How does it impact you in your life? So we had a few questions actually jotted down.
Yes.
And we'll tackle a couple of them, shall we? Because there was a few. So there was one that we got asked that was really popular with regards to if we manifest each other. So if we manifest together, there's specific goals we have that we manifest together. And in this time that you've been here, which is not an excessive amount of time, though, really, is it? We've done a few manifestations together as a couple where we've just, I've imagined we do our individual ones, but I've imagined something, and then I've asked you as well to imagine with me if it's been something quite close to our heart. For example, when your grandfather was really seriously ill in the hospital, and that was all a bit hit and miss, touch and go and stuff. And so we came together for that and imagined in that moment, didn't we? We only did it once, and we didn't do some meditation, getting into this breath work, getting all relaxed. We literally just sat down and we just decided, okay, we'll just imagine for him and see him well. Can you remember the exact scene that you imagined, or did you? I think I imagined maybe conversation or something.
Conversation. I think we did conversation. So, yeah, I think both of us did that.
I think sometimes what we'll do is we'll say what the intention is, and then we'll sort of construct what that might look like or sound like. And I think sometimes we'll just go with our own natural, what that would look like and sound like individually, but we'll do the imaginal act at the same time. Because I don't think we've even sat there going, okay, so let's imagine this scene where this is happening and this person says this. It's not been specific like that. It's like, this is what I want. This is the end goal. This is the intention. Like my friend, Faye, who went through breast cancer and stuff recently. And I just got, she told me the news around December time, around New Year's. And then we did, I imagined for her. And then you were also saying that you'll imagine you will see her well as well. And then I got a couple of messages from her recently, just post-op, everything is fine. And then recently again, was it day before yesterday? She messaged me and said that the tissue that they'd removed and everything, no sign of cancer. So it was fantastic. This is something that runs in her family and unfortunately has taken the life of every female in her family and close relations. So there's a couple of health manifestations we've done together, even one for myself as well, when I was having those palpitations and we were doing a real life conversation of I remember when sort of thing. I remember when I used to get these heart issues and now I'm all healthy and it feels wonderful and like putting me into the state. You were getting me into the state. What else have we done?
Well, I think just one other thing on that was about how you said we don't really tell each other what to imagine. And I've always kind of stuck firm to that. Even when, say for example, I have someone who's asking me to imagine for them, I specifically refuse to hear what they want me to imagine. I know, but with regards to the specifics of the scenes and this and that, that's me. That's up to me. That's my decision. You don't really want to tell someone else what to imagine because that person, like say for instance, you're trying to tell me what to imagine. I am particularly skilled and I know exactly how my mind works and I know exactly what gets the best results. So for me, immediately I have my own preconceptions as to what I will imagine and it works best. So in this case, it's the same exact thing. Oftentimes I will go to conversations or whatever, and sometimes perhaps to the person telling me to imagine, or maybe to you, you don't go to conversations, perhaps say that was the example, but works extremely well for me. And in this case, literally, it's amazing to see the results that happen just with imagining the same end and whatever the scene is. I don't really know what she imagined. Sometimes we'll tell each other, like, I did this or I did that, but ultimately that's
Yeah, or we'll do that. I remember when together. So obviously then we're kind of imagining. We've done a few techniques. Sometimes he'll actually sit down and script it out. And sometimes I'll just, whilst we're walking or something, I'll put myself in the state, or when I'm washing up or something. That's always my favorite times to imagine, when I'm in autopilot and I set the intention then. But those were sort of some of the key ones. There seemed to be mainly health manifestations that we did. There's a couple of intentions that we have set for other desires, but we are still on the bridge of events to those unfolding. But
yeah, I think well, that's the thing. It's like how much to reveal about things that haven't happened yet. But I know, for example, things related to, like we had one with one of your, so we have a process undergoing for me staying here permanently. And so in doing so, we've got to imagine certain things, right? That's the thing. And so certain things might seem to go awry, and then together we've specifically, if we're stressed out, we will say, this is stressing me out. Let's imagine this set straight. And like someone sent us the incorrect letter. The letter that they sent us was just off base, right? We needed a letter of evidence to give to the attorney, solicitor, as British people say, so to submit with the application process. And the person sent the completely wrong letter, and it was really kind of stressful and terrifying in many different ways, because you consider like, this, my future here depends upon this. But really the truth is when we imagine the end, no future is dependent upon a single moving piece in the cog of life. And so the point is that we specifically both together imagined that was rectified in our own way, and that too in and of itself, within a matter of a week maybe, things straighten themselves out perfectly. You were moved to take action.
Rectify that though, did we? We focused more again on the end. Like we knew it was already going to work out, wasn't it? And then she was moved. It was a weird chain of events that then I was moved to have this conversation, that then she
That's what I was just going to get to, is you were moved to have a conversation with her, which ultimately that's true. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because I don't think we imagined specifically for a different letter as such. We kept saying, like you kept saying, that's fine, that's going to play a part.
We both just imagined the end. So
that is all taken care of.
And
but
then
it was
boom,
scary.
It rectified itself.
It was scary for a moment, because that's a typical thing of, hang on, why has this happened this way? This is going against us. And it was very worrying, So even the most seasoned manifestors can still have times when we're derailed. Actually, that kind of leads us on into another question, really, about differences, different ideas we have in relation to manifesting, or how we help each other's manifestations. And even there are times when 3D is very alluring, isn't it? It's very tempting. We all get sucked into this matrix or whatever hologram whatever you want to call it, this reality, this mirror, and we forget who we are. We fall asleep regularly. So even it's happened to me myself, where I've gotten sucked in, and even though I know and I can be objective, I can take a step back, when you are in it and it's something very close to you that you're very emotionally attached to, it's also very helpful to have someone who's also into the same understands spirituality, law, power of creation, imagination. You're able to sometimes ground me to that, even though I know sometimes getting an alternative perspective from someone who's on the outside is very grounding also. And I do the same for you, or help you to occupy a state when he's sort of trying to figure out what imaginal act would imply this desire is fulfilled. And sometimes I'm like, just don't even go to that level, and I'll start asking him questions, or even using covert hypnosis like I do with my clients as well, just to get you to step into that feeling, isn't it? And then sometimes you'll have an epiphany from that, and you'll start scripting it out, because you like to journal.
100%.
I don't.
That's common. That for me is really, I have to sometimes untie the knots that I've made in my mind as far as how manifesting works, right? If you've been watching my channel, I talk a lot about the systematic ways to manifest, like follow this step and get this result. So the way that I talk about manifesting is, in a perfect world, by the book, when you take these similarities of manifestations in common, you find these common denominators that are present every single time in a perfect world. So essentially what I do sometimes is I say, well then, if I'm not doing it in this perfect manner, then I'm not going to be getting the result. So I essentially tie myself into knots at times, but really that's not what manifesting is. Manifesting, and even the way that I describe manifesting on my channel, it's a system of patterns. What I'm talking about are observable patterns, right? The patterns that I talk about are not laws that I have to abide by. They are just there to explain what's happening. So anyway, when I get in one of those moods where I'm like, oh no, I don't know exactly what to imagine, I have to do this scene with this end and this implication, I literally will say, can you please help me? What would you imagine? What would you do? And then I think sometimes the simplicity of it, she thinks I'm asking a trick question or like, you know, why are you asking me this? But really it's because my mind gets into such a confused state at times. And literally I just need the simple outside perspective from a seasoned manifestor. And literally she will guide me into the state that I'm looking for within seconds, normally within seconds, and then boom, I feel like I'm there. So yeah, we do help each other. And then in your case, like you said, if you're worried about something, that outside perspective to get you into the proper perspective. It's all about perspective. And I think having that different viewpoints, because we don't think exactly the same way. We don't see things exactly the same way. We don't believe exactly the same thing with the exact same vocabularies and the exact same experiences. We all, even you, ourselves, everyone has different perspectives, and her life before meeting me has been way different than my life, and likewise with yourself, I'm sure. And so it's very helpful in any capacity. This is in a recent video that we did, I was talking about sometimes I get clients that want to talk to me just for the sake of my perspective, having nothing to do with me, them wanting me to give them some strategy or plan. They just want to talk to another manifestor. So I have one of those at my hip every day. But anyway.
Yeah, so I suppose that kind of leads into when we have any differences of ideas, because of course, as Joseph was saying, we don't think exactly the same way. A lot of the concepts relating to manifesting or Neville Goddard's teachings, we think very, very similar because we've experienced it. That's why we say, I think when you've experienced the law, you see a pattern, and then of course you do explain it the same way because you're talking from experience and you realize how this works. You know, this law has fundamental principles to it at its very core, but there's some occasional difference. We don't really have any kind of major disagreements or anything like that. Perhaps a slight variation in vernacular vocabulary and stuff, but I don't recall anything major.
No, not like as you would find, say, on another channel. So like what the words that we use, and the fact that Athena uses sort of the psychological approach due to her experience, that's where you're going to find the differences in perspective. For example, I know that you oftentimes give people the tools to kind of talk themselves into a state, to get themselves, by changing their perception, to enter into the state that they want to manifest, versus like to change a belief or something like this, to use a psychological approach to gather the evidence which will impress the subconscious mind with the perception that you're looking for, that will, and this is my vernacular of course, that will ultimately get them to where they want to go. Whereas I have a slightly different method, but we go to the same end. We have we know the same things. We know where we have to get to. We have to enter into a state. I need to get you to change states into a different perception. And that's how you're going to get it. So whatever way, whether yours is the psychological approach or whether mine is more of the systematic inventory approach, it's the same end. So it's literally just the methodology. That's the word, isn't it?
That's the word.
Methodology. That was our word. That is what drew me. That word right there. I was doing a recording. My brother James was guiding me into a recording for my podcast, and I went to say methodological, and me and my brother started laughing, and we stopped the recording, and we made a deal about it, and then deleted it. And then when you sent me that voice message for the first time, period, ever, that was the word that she said in that. She said, "I like your methodological approach," and she didn't cancel it.
And I wanted to. And the thing is, I'm such a, like, he knows I'm such a perfectionist with things.
Yes,
so
she'll redo it 20 times.
I'll redo it if I'm doing a video. I'm like, oh, I stumbled upon that. I'll redo it again. Do the whole thing again.
Yep.
You know, I don't edit this stuff, right? Yeah, I don't know why. I really wanted to delete it and I didn't. So obviously there we go.
There
That's
was
another
the
one
reason.
for that previous video as to how your manifestations affect each other.
God,
I was
wild.
impacted to use a word that I never use, to stumble over it like an idiot, and then to go against everything that I am when it comes to being a perfectionist, and not replace that voice note with another one, which I could have done and I didn't.
Amazing.
There you go. I made myself vulnerable to you. See what happens.
It worked.
It did work.
Immediately worked. That was the defining thing where I noted immediately. I said, "What? Who is this girl?" You know, I don't talk about that as much, and I think I don't reference it in my mind. But that was what made me say, "Oh my God, I need to talk to her right now." I knew that there was something more than just some random YouTuber wanting to collab with me. In her mind, that's what she thought. She thought she was just some random YouTube girl reaching out to someone with a big channel and, you know, hopefully getting a collab. But for me, it was something way more immediately, knowing that there was something meaningful there. And my God, was it? Anyway.
That's interesting. So that's a couple of your questions answered in this video. And we've got a few more as well. So we're going to do another part on Joseph's channel as well. All the links are going to be in the description box below. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining, guys.
Subscribe, bell icon.
All that fun stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.